everything changes. But if we're in the midst right now, a lot of people are panicking. Life is very uncertain and people don't know what to do and how to navigate this. This is unprecedented times, but the spiritual teachers and gurus, and when you do the work, what you find is that this is a time to really figure out who the heck you really are and where you find your sense of security. So if you're panicked or overwhelmed right now, especially with the kids, not knowing if the kids are going back to school, that's just one example, or if your business is going to withstand this storm, or, all the different things that we're all experiencing, all of us, the whole entire world is experiencing this sort of unsettled nature in these unprecedented times. It's usually like, oh, July 13th, me and my family are usually here, or whatever. And if you can't be doing those things, it causes some sort of panic story. And usually that story has stemmed from some sort of unhealed thing in childhood, right? Yeah. And it's sort of linked to this, how do we cope in uncertain times? And usually our childhood kind of helped us to develop this pattern or snowball that's telling a story right now. And if you were to just talk about the story and you'd say, oh, David, this is what I'm experiencing right now, and here's the story I'm telling myself. And you're like,
okay, let me share one. Let me share one, and you can deconstruct it. So we've talked about this. So I've been doing work with Janet Roth-Philbin that I'll link her name in here because she's awesome. She does kind of helps you delve into your inner child through deep meditation. And so I've been uncovering this 18-year-old version of myself who's like really freaked out because I left my house like in January of my senior year in high school, went out on the road in my Mazda B2200 truck, and I was like, okay, I got this. And I was really free, but at the same time, I was scared to death. And then I told you the story. It was like a few months later that the truck broke down. It was a $767 payment. And I was like, I'm dead. I'm dying. I'm homeless. Like there's no mom, dad. There's nowhere to go. Like this is it. I paid the bills, whatever. So that version of my 18, because I've dealt with the younger versions of myself, but that version of my 18-year-old self is like freaked out and feels like I always have to hustle to be safe, right? Yeah. So the story that comes up for me is like, oh, I need to switch my role at the school, or I want to quit my job, or I want to move houses. And the moment I go into that, it's like the stories start coming in rapid fire that what's going to happen to me is literally I'm going to become homeless. Like that's the story that is broadcast to me, that goes on autopilot replay, like, oh my God. And then my whole entire body shuts down. And then that story just looks for evidence to show that it's true. Right?
Yeah. And that's what we call it. We call it like the mind-body bundle. And that is where your body, your nervous system, and your mind are in cahoots with this pattern. And so when the pattern arises or the overwhelm arises, here comes the story. And it's so quick that you don't even realize. You just know your body's panicking and you know your mind's going which direction it goes. And then your mind and body are in cahoots. The nervous system and the mind are in cahoots with the story. And they all love each other so much, and they don't want this story to die. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're the greatest storytellers in the world that want to keep this story alive. And so if you're not aware of it, you just think it's straight up gloom and doom. Like you really do. You think there's no other way, but we're here to talk about that there is another way.
Infinite possibility.
Infinite possibility of how you can transform this energy. You could actually have the same energy and turn it so it actually is a force within you that actually works in your favor. That's just one example. I know for Beyonce, before she gets on stage, she feels sick. She's so nervous and sick. Bruce Springsteen, Tony Robbins talked a lot about this. It's this fiery energy, this crazy energy that happens. It's almost a panic, a tornado, and then your mind does this roots thing in the nervous system. And he's worked with the top, celebrities and performers in the world. And he said what he's helped them to do is take that nervous energy and turn it into a great fire within them. And then they go out and they perform. So Beyonce is like Sasha Fierce, right?
Yes.
But for Shania Twain, it really, after years and years and years of this panic, she one day just shut down and she wasn't able to perform anymore. And she actually lost her voice for quite some time. So that's an example of how you let your story own you and not let you progress into the uncharted world or the unprecedented times.
Let's talk about that, because I think this is really your greatest strength is your greatest weakness kind of idea.
Yeah, it is.
Because what you're really talking about with those examples is, for me, one of my greatest strengths is doing, like just executing and doing. Like if you give me something to do, I can like just make a list.
You're so focused. You are, yeah.
So focused.
You're the start to finish, yeah.
Yes, and that's great, huge strength. Now the weakness or the shadow side or the dark side is that if I'm in that energy without bringing awareness to what's actually going on with that 18-year-old scared version of myself, then it's very constricted energy, and it's trying to create things with that constricted energy. So I can do it. I can open a school from scratch. I can oversee 10 schools. Like I can juggle all the balls. Like it's really natural for me. But then if it's not in flow and it's hustle, then it actually starts to really affect me. And so what I'm working on is really thinking about like, not thinking, but feeling how to transmute that energy from fear and lack and scarcity to like this hustle, which wears you down, to like saying, oh, what if I can just find the flow and be the doer that's like so natural for me, and then be able to create all these things without all that tension and that it's like a tension. It's a tense energy. There's conflict, there's resistance, you know?
Yeah. It's not feeling like flow. It's not feeling light in your body. It's feeling like it's constricted in tornado energy. And you can actually transmute that energy and use it as, like we said, as your force. So if you thought of some project in your house that would, be something super cool that you and your family can do, you can use your superpower of your focus, start to finish project person, but use it in different ways that are creative, that can include different things that you wanted to include, that you feel really good about on your off time or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it feels like that is tapping into a version of my true nature. So I put in the post, like, we're going to talk about how to free yourself from your stories to really connect with your true nature. So for me, the story comes up like, oh my gosh, you're moving your house, you're changing your job, you're going to die, or you're going to be living on the street. And like, in all seriousness, we laugh, but that's actually not that far from the truth when I was 18, because I had nowhere else to go. So that's like a real story. Like, this is not just like sometimes it's not real at all. But the ones that are most real are the ones that really, and let's be clear, I'm now 44 years old. Okay. So this is a long time ago, but the nervous system doesn't know the difference, right? Between the past, the present, and the future. It just knows that when I have that feeling within me that something's changing and there could be lack of security, that it's like, oh my gosh, okay, now we're going to go into the save you, secure mode, keep you small, make sure you're not, going too crazy.
Yeah. And then from there, you manifest stuff that you don't want to manifest. And then it causes a future shit pile is what I call it. You know what I mean? You keep manifesting things that don't represent your truth or your true nature, because you're acting upon a nervous system that's from 18 years old, a false narrative of nothing that's going on in your life right now. You are going through a lot of stuff, but I think you're doing a beautiful job. I mean, you are moving, you have, up leveled in your job, like so much is happening for you. And it's such a beautiful thing to witness. It's a lot.
Yeah. All at once. Yeah.
All at once. You're like, I want the whole enchilada all in one, like 2 weeks, put it all in there, and you're doing it. I don't know how. But that's your superpower. Your superpower is saying, oh, I can do all this, and you're doing it. Yeah. It's just, you got to make sure that you stay in the flow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Stay in the flow, because your well-being matters. Now you're saying, now through the spiritual work that you've done, the inner work that you've done, that your well-being, feeling well, matters more than doing.
Yes.
Or else you wouldn't have this resistance. It would just be the same old thing. Something transformed within you that said, this isn't right anymore.
Yeah.
What was that? What woke you up?
What woke me up? Wait, say that again. Which part were you saying?
So the knowing that the doing all the time is not, it's not serving you anymore.
Yeah. Well, I think it was really starting to bring awareness to, so first of all, it was playing the game that you and I talked about before, where you watch the story. So you bring awareness to the story, right? Like you observe it. Okay, here's the story, and you can see it. And then you start to play some games. Like you start to try and trick your nervous system and play some games with your mind, where you're like, oh, the story is, so I was waiting for a board meeting, and I was in my board meeting the other day. I'm not on the board because I'm the founder. So I was they were in closed session, And during that time, the principal and I were, it was a Zoom meeting. So she was texting me and she was really nervous about like all the things that were going wrong in that closed session. And I was like, well, this is so fascinating because my mind was telling the same story. So I was like, hey, how about if we play a game? She's like, oh my gosh, you think they're going to fire me or whatever, whatever her story was. And I literally said, maybe they're talking about doubling your income. Or maybe they were talking about, giving you $1 million bonus. Well, that's something far-fetched. But I was trying to make ones that were more, like maybe they're talking about giving you a $5,000 bonus. Maybe they're talking about giving you a month
Go into our
off.
different stories. Yeah, yeah.
But in that moment, whatever fear she was going through and the fear I was going through, the fear of like, oh my gosh, they're not going to approve, this new contract, whatever for me. And so then the mind was creating these really, really massive stories. And so what I've learned to do is to watch those stories very carefully and then to play some games where it's like, okay, let's switch the stories. Let's just switch the stories, because what that does is that gives you a moment of seeing there's another option. Like in the most simple material world format, there's always like 3 options. There's the genius of the end. Like even if you're just starting at the beginning, you're like, there's this and there's that. They're going to fire me or they're going to hire me.
Yeah. Maybe
the end is that they're going to, do both of those things and give you a contract that's made you a consultant and like double your salary. Like we don't know. So
this is what happened.
So basically like just simply saying, let's just turn the story on its head. Let's start watching the stories and then let's kind of play with them a little bit. Like, oh my gosh, this is so funny, and like laugh and just like send a lot of love to the stories. Like, you really think this is happening right now? And then bringing awareness, staying on the breath, staying in the present moment and saying like, oh, wait, have they fired me yet? Like in this moment right now, am I fired? It's like, no. So then drop the story.
Exactly.
When they get out of the closed session, if they fire me, then we'll deal with that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You'll be coming from that place of lack, and that didn't even happen. You know how many times people get into confrontation or whatever because there's 2 totally different stories going on?
Yes.
They're projections. But my question was, even before you do all that self-analyzing stuff, before, when it was a pattern for you and you weren't consciously awakened.
Right.
Was it causing you a lot of stress to be a go, do?
Oh,
doer?
yes. That's the heart of the question. And I just released an interview with one of my colleagues, Summer Lowry, and she was talking about the 2x4 or the metaphor. When you have an awakening process, you either have the metaphor, which slaps you upside, the 2x4, which slaps you upside the head. And that was her. She had a heart attack when she was 39. Mine's been much more gradual, like a little bit at a time, kind of watching my energy and seeing that. I got Bell's palsy 2.5, not even 2 years ago. You can still see it actually. This eye is it's not all the way open. It's still about 90%. It's 10% still kind of paralyzed, but basically your whole face is like, I shouldn't make fun of this, but it was me, so I can make fun of myself. The kids still make fun of me.
You're talking about yourself, so it's funny.
The kids still make fun of me. Like my kids, they're just like, they like to make fun of me. They're like, you're like that. Like it was so sad though, because I couldn't, and it was terrible. So that woke me up because there was a physical manifestation of the energy I was using to open all those schools, to open 10 schools in 10 years, and to become a teacher and a principal and an executive in like 7 years. That was literally exhausting to my nervous system, to the point where I decided that I would slow down and start meditating and finding, finding the awareness that my whole body shut down and it paralyzed my face for like 4 months.
Yeah. See, you manifested, what you were manifesting was 10 schools, not 1.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like your momentum built to be like, I'm going to do 10, or I'm going to do this many, and I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this. And then the body's like, hi, David. Like, we're shutting you down, David.
Yeah, basically.
That's what you know how many people that happens to? Like literally their bodies shut down.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't listen to it. So then they go and the doctor tells them, hey, maybe you want a pill, or maybe you need this, or maybe you need that. And one of the great things about Summer's story is that she had like a much more holistic doctor who told her after the heart attack, like, you need to change everything about your life. I'm not giving you a pill. I'm not giving you, like you need to basically change your diet, change your lifestyle, change everything. And she took his advice and she did all that, and she changed everything. And so I'll tag her in here since I'm talking about her.
Yeah,
but
the best.
But yeah, so she just shared it on her interview, so it's all public. But yeah, that is where a lot of people don't actually listen to that. Like when I was really having a hard time when I was on like school 10 and I was driving around all day and it was just like really, really hard for me, I actually threw out my back like 4 times.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't get out of bed 4 different times. So what did I do? Did I take a break? No. I got on, I was like, okay, all the meetings are gonna be done on Zoom or like, you know, via video conference. So I was like, okay guys, give me your reports. Okay, what's the latest? Do we have any issues? And I was just like killing myself, literally. For what?
Right. Does that matter so much more than, like, if you're dead, how are you going to do this job? If you're dead or not healthy, how are you going to do your job? So I think with COVID, everyone being forced to stay in their homes and figure things out and change the routine up, literally the whole world, just whether you believe that this is a real COVID thing or not, the world has shut down. So that's the reality. And it's an opportunity. I take this as an opportunity before real, like something really happens to you. It's just a wake up thing. Like, okay, wake up.
Yeah.
So for you,
Yes.
how did you then, like, did you start, like, how did you get into the spiritual track? Like, how did you get into like delving within? Were you going to therapy? Did you just want some sort of relief where you're like, oh, Shefali, what was it? What was the spontaneous thing that shifted all of
I
it?
had started the Shefali course in January of 2000. I thought it was 17, but it was actually 2018. No, it was actually February of 18. And that allowed me to, I didn't go to therapy. I went to therapy years ago for a few months and I made actually really good progress. People laugh at me like, you went for a few months and you made a lot of progress. I was like, well, I'm ready. Should have been a psychologist. But it was very slow and it just felt like a lot of talk. So that one of the first things Shefali said, and I'm not a therapist, so any therapist out there, like I'm not criticizing your industry. For me personally, it was, it didn't really serve me in the way it needed to. And I probably could have gone back and gotten tons out of it, but I decided not to because I was dealing with my own resistance to it. But when I heard from Shefali, who said, you know, basically meditate and start to deconstruct your inner child and your childhood stories and start to uncover the things that you've never, like the false self that's been sleeping for all these years. And so that's why for me, it was like a very gradual process. But I will say with COVID, this is really like the 2x4 for a lot of people. Right? Because what you talk about is your safety and security is being stripped away right now.
Yeah, I believe
for all of
every
us.
single one of us. Am I in an echo?
No.
Okay.
Not that I can see.
So yeah, I think all of us are the things that we found our security in outside of us. So whether it's our job or you know, anything that was our security, our relationships, anything. When it's all of us are experiencing a sense of like that's being stripped from us.
Yeah.
And what it's calling us to do is just wake up and know that your sense of security comes from within. It can't be from the outside world because the outside world is unpredictable. Every moment's different. Every day is different. Our cells are different. Our bodies are different. Our attitudes, our moods, everything changes. Everything is temporary. What's the one thing that's permanent? What's the one thing that's always there? And this led me into the study of non-duality. And what is always present is awareness. Just being aware. We wouldn't know we had these thoughts. We wouldn't know our body was doing its thing with the nervous system. We wouldn't be in panic if we weren't aware of it.
Right.
So the awareness, and then meditation kind of takes you back.
Yeah, right.
The observer now.
Yes.
And just this one move of being the observer shifts everything.
Absolutely.
I want moments that we can wake people up. So like right now, I want to wake people up to the fact that right now could be the moment that you just for 1 second pay attention to what we're saying and just become the awareness now.
Yes.
You know? And once you start to pay attention, and like, oh my God, I have these thoughts that go all day. Like today or yesterday, I had like these crazy thoughts. It's just like, and I'm like watching them, like, where are they coming from?
Right. Right.
Are they coming from an old story? Are they spontaneously arising? What is this? And they're not me because they keep changing. What is this?
Yes.
And then over time, you realize that it's just these spontaneous energies that arise. And
Right.
you're just the observer.
Right.
When you're in a good mood, that you're a yes person. When you're in a great mood, you're like, yes, 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 yes. And you mean everything and everything's wonderful. And then when you're in a bad mood, everything is like, no. And just,
Yes.
you know?
So, okay, can I ask you about that, Stacey? Oh, go ahead.
It's just perspective. I'm saying it's perspective. Right. And when you become the observer more, you have more perspective. You have a wider, broader view.
Right.
There's a thing called awareness. There's pure awareness. And then there's like this filtered awareness. And both of them will give you a different perspective. One will make you feel expansive, creative, abundant, joyful, confident. And the other lens will make you feel constricted, panicked. You'll be sucked into the mind-body construct of worry, chaos, and one possibility.
Which is what you call the bundle, right? Like this
I call that
bundle
the bundle. It's the bundle. It's the tight energy that the mind and body are in cahoots with the story. And they do not want to let it go. They do not want to let it go. It wants to stay tight.
Yes.
And how do you get from this tight energy to the flow boat over here that's saying, I'm just the pure awareness. And from here, I have 1 million possibilities over here. Here, I only have one. But the fear, the stronghold that we always talk about, David, it captivates us.
Yes.
It makes us think that there really isn't. This is real life, and there is only one possibility, right?
Yep.
But we could use that fire and say, yes, there is this one life, and yes, it does matter, but I can't come from here because I only have one possibility here. I want 1 million possibilities. And I often think about my worst moments in life, like when my son got sick before, my daughter went through some things, and all I ever wanted in those moments were 1 million possibilities.
Yes.
I think about a parent that their child was diagnosed with cancer. Do you think they want to live in the one possibility or the millions of possibilities?
Right.
The person that lost their job or has no job right now or lost their business and that was their sense of worth. Like, do they want just one possibility or 1 million possibilities? So to swim from here to here, it takes, there's different techniques that you can use.
Yeah.
There's different things, but it starts with awareness.
Right.
And paying attention that you are awareness.
Right. Well, and it's what you were talking, what I was talking about before is like your analogy of like the constriction was like my hustle, like throwing out my back. It was like the universe and my body saying like, hey, 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 hey. Like,
you're telling your body, right? I want to constrict it. I want to constrict it. Constrict me. Constrict it. Let's go. Make it harder for me. Make it harder. I want it harder for me. Not easier. I want it harder.
And then what I've learned after doing that course with Shefali and really getting into a very disciplined meditation practice and starting to like really observe the thoughts and try and change the thoughts and all of that, is that I slowly but surely, without any goal or plan, it's just kind of dissolved. Like this stronghold, the tension has just gotten a little bit lighter, and I've been able to move over to the flow boat. And what's crazy, what happened to me is on March 13th, Friday the 13th, when we closed the school, and everybody was going crazy because the school was closed. I mean, the world was going crazy because it was like COVID crazy. And that was when I think I had like an even more deeper shift into my awakening. Because for 1 month straight in this new world that I was sensing, I didn't have any expectations of this is how your job should look, this is how your day should look. I literally found an old sewing machine that my wife has. It's an antique. Threw it in the corner, put my computer on it, and all of a sudden just started interviewing people, doing Facebook Lives, totally showing up as the most authentic version of myself. And then after 1 month of that, I had the most massive change back attack, as Martha Beck calls it, where I literally thought I was going to die because I was like, I just was so authentic for a month. And in my mind, it was a game. Like, oh, this is fun. It was fun. It was a game. Like, I had all my Shefali friends and we were just playing on the computer. And then it was like the moment that somebody said, hey, I want to give you money for your beautiful vision about reimagining schools. And I was like, yeah, sure, great. And then as soon as that happened, it was like, this is real now. Like, I can't live like this. No. I have to be like small and safe, and I can't live in infinite possibilities. That's too scary. And so for about a month, I just like crawled into the corner. Literally, it was like in fetal position for like April 15th to May 15th. I was just like, oh God, I'm gonna die. And I didn't have to go anywhere because I was working from home.
You could just die at home.
But that's what happened to me. Like, it's so crazy how, but what that did for me is it gave me an example. It rewired my nervous system to know what it feels like when I'm in flow. So those 30 days, it was literally 30 days. It was like March 13th to April 13th. Those 30 days, I rewired my nervous system. So now when the stories start coming about like, oh my gosh, no one's going to hire you, you can't be a consultant, you need a full-time employment, all that, I can actually remember and go into awareness and be like, wait, hold on, is that actually true? And there's Byron Katie's 4 questions, right? Like, what's true? I can't remember the 4 of them right now, but like, is the story actually true? And then it starts to shift, and then I can drop in and be like, wait, there was a time in my life just recently where I felt totally in flow and I didn't have any problems and I wasn't in resistance and I wasn't in lack and I wasn't in scarcity and the world was beautiful and things were being delivered to me left and right. So why can't I live like that every moment of every day of every my life?
Yeah, I agree. I'm hearing
You're hearing an echo?
I'm hearing an echo right now. So I'm going to turn off my Facebook. I hope it doesn't turn off my Zoom. It won't, right?
I don't know. Maybe. No. Your Zoom will be good. Yeah, because you're coming through my Zoom, so you're good. And I'll check and see if anyone's writing any comments. Feel free to write any comments.
Okay, I'm back. So I hope that helps with the echo, because I think I just had Facebook on my browser. But what were we just saying?
Oh, I was saying, like, I got that example of living like that for 30 days, where I had tricked my mind into thinking that it was just like this weird temporary fun. It was like I was at Disneyland for a month and I didn't have to go out of the house, and like nothing. My school's budget was good because I stayed in California. Like all the things that would throw you off. I had a job, I had a paycheck, my school's budget was good. Like my kids were safe, everything was good. So then I just released and I had this like super fun 30 days. And then once I got to a point of 30 days, my 18-year-old self was like, hey, no, the car's gonna break down and you're gonna be one step away from being homeless. So you probably wanna slow your roll and start to be more responsible and live in the real world.
Yeah.
Which means go back to lack, go back to scarcity, go back to small self, and constantly be questioning every single move you do, and don't go into flow. Like I'm making this very clear. That's how
got change. Don't you dare change one thing, because change is scary.
Yeah,
and that's a story. That's a story. And what I wish for everybody who listens to this is to gain clarity that you can have a clean slate every single day. Every day you can be just this infinite possibility.
Yes.
And it's just stepping into that. And how do you step into that? Like you said, there's different techniques that you can do, but it does start with awareness. It does start with like a deep self-care, getting to know yourself really well, getting to know your patterns, getting to know what your thoughts say to you. And I heard a statistic, it's 85% of our thoughts are the same day in and day out.
Yeah.
So it's like we're running on this program, literally.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. And, you just inspired me. I think I'm going to do a 30-day course on the flow. Because I think that is my gift, is that I love living on the flow boat. And even though I'm going through extreme changes in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, literally things that, most people would get knocked down from.
Yeah.
When I quit my job, I had several jobs. And one of which I quit, I quit February 14th before COVID, only to make space in my life for my coaching business and to do things like this. And also I have a jewelry business, so I was going to focus on that. And then when COVID hit, I was like, free Willy, this is awesome. The universe totally has my back. Like, this is exactly what I was meant to do. I was meant to chill for a while. The universe is shutting it all down so I can stay home in my world, and the people that I'm dealing with, we're all going to be doing the same thing. We're going to go get centered, and we're going to believe in infinite possibility from this day forward. It was very clear what was revealed to me, but I've been practicing for a long time with meditation, delving and things like that. But so for me, it really was freedom, sweet, sweet, sweet freedom. And everybody has a break in the world. Everybody take a break, and get your stuff in order. Everybody put your bills on hold for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Just everybody.
And that's when I met you, and you were the one who was, sending me messages and saying like, don't think, don't think, don't think. And every time I was, that helped me, those 30 days of being, that's why you should definitely do the course for 30 days, because or the course, because those 30 days for me, like you just kept reminding me, to stay true to my really to my essence and my true nature, and not get caught up in the stories of you're not allowed to have fun. Yep, you know, this all has to be hard, difficult, hustle. You're not allowed to just have fun for a month and have your bills be paid. You're supposed to be struggling and, you know, hard work and sadness. Anyway, so yes.
Yeah. And look at, you're such a great example of living the hustle life, getting everything you wanted in your life by going after goals and working really hard for them, you know, making them happen because you wanted them. And then going into a state of flow where it was totally different. It was just having a blast and manifesting. So you have a choice, really you do. Do you want to hustle and suffer? You can accomplish your goals, or do you want infinite possibility where you flow and accomplish just as much or more?
Yeah.
And you get to meet really cool people in the process, and you're really open to different experiences, and you feel really good, and you can get yourself out of it quicker by being in flow than the other way. When you're in flow and you kind of get out of it, you wake up quicker, right? But when you're in lack and you're swimming in lack and swimming in the soup of lack, it's really hard to get back on the boat. It's possible, but it takes a commitment. It takes a dedication. It takes an awareness. It takes a paying attention. It takes a tribe, and it takes support. But it's possible because this is the shift. This is the literal shift that's happening to all of us. Where do you get your sense of peace and security from? If it is outside of you, you are going to suffer.
Yeah.
Because your patterns and your what you manifest, your behavior when you come from lack in 2020 to the future is going to manifest more shit piles in your life. It will not manifest. It's not going to make you feel more free. It's going to make you feel more constricted. And then you're from the sidelines, you're going to be watching people in flow that have total faith, total trust in the universe, are totally committing to, you know, being their own source of joy and security. Because in us is this fountain of limitless abundance. I'd say it's touching gold. There's a piece of us that has this beautiful gold. And somewhere along the line, spontaneously, I was told to always talk about the divinity, the divine part of us, the part of us that is limitless and the infinite possibility. And that's what really lights me up. That is what I'm meant to talk about to people, because people don't know about this.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And to actually experience it, you don't want to go back. You do not want to go back to the old grind where it's just your worthiness is based on these things that are temporary.
Right. On the outside.
On the outside. And it's really painful to watch people, you know, go through that. But I went through that. I didn't listen to my inner voice. My inner voice was telling me that when I was hustling back in the day with sales, I literally, my inner voice was saying, stop right now. You know better than this. This is not the way. When you're in flow, you're so much more open. You're so much more creative.
And you didn't listen?
You attract the world when you're this way, you know? When I'm constricted, I mean, I would still attract some different energies, but it was a lot. It was chaotic. It was too many people. It was too much to deal with. And now I feel like in a more grounded place, a more anchored place, and I'm open and anchored. So you're anchored in who you are, and every day I'm committed to the anchoring of myself. And then what it does when you're anchored, it releases this resistance, so it's infinite possibility. And then I'm really clear. So in this talk, everything in me saying, tell everybody that there is a flow no matter who you are. If you're a CEO making billions of dollars, trust me when I tell you, those people have life coaches and people that they work with. Calm their inner spirit. Richard Branson, I think he's up to what, an hour or two a day of meditation. Oprah does 2 or 3 times 20-minute intervals to be able to have the capacity and bandwidth to be these creative forces. In 2020, it's the ego's dying here. People are choosing companies and what to buy from by people's integrity, by people you know, birthing things from essence now. It's still going to be the ego. There's going to be this force, but I think this other force is arising that's the truth. You know?
And it's really, it's clear that, like you said, the table's being turned upside down. Well, you said everything's taken away, but like then the visual of like turning the table upside down.
Well, we talk about it's when the rug is flipped from under you.
Yes.
It's a very spiritual thing that happens.
Absolutely. And now we're kind of in the place where like we can go into the stories of all the problems that have been created by these things being taken away, because everyone has, like you've been saying, everyone has their different things, you know, and whatever it is that you need to be taken away from you is what it's going to help you wake up. And now it's like, this is it. So, okay, so for people, let's close with this. Yeah. For people that are listening, I would say one very small tidbit of advice, and then you can share some, is just start with watching, trying to be an observer of the stories that you tell yourself. And this is why I did have a coach. I've had a coach for 5 years. I have this amazing intuitive life coach who's phenomenal and totally helped me change my life. But it's harder to do it for yourself, but it's totally possible. So it's great to get a coach. That's why someone like Stacy is awesome, because it's great to have someone that helps you. But on your own, just practice, like, what are the things that are coming through? What are the stories that are being told? And then I'll put in the comments the Byron Katie's 4 questions, because that's a really good framework.
Yeah, I remember.
Just do those and then flip them, or just follow her process. So what are some just like concrete pieces of advice you want to leave people?
I would leave people with, when you're in panic or overwhelmed or you're really scared, ask yourself, how many options do you have? If you can only come up with 1 or 2, you're really constricted in your body.
Yeah.
You are in your false sense of self. Your power is not there.
Yes.
There's another place, a state of being, that has infinite possibility, abundance, knows who they are, is the source of your energy and strength. You need energy and strength. There's no way we're going to do this thing called life without energy and strength. Where do you get that energy and strength? A lot of people find that in their connection with God or a higher power.
Yeah.
And that's really what we're being called to tap into, because we have been shown collectively, individually and collectively, that we cannot operate anymore without being totally connected to this outside force. The other thing is so false. It creates so many bad habits. There's more people that are addicted to different things and suicidal than ever before. And it's because the old way is not working. That's your false self that's been operating. So a quick thing to do is say, am I operating? This is just step 1. Do I have 1 possibility here or a million? If you only have 1, say, oh, I'm in the false lens. At least just start with that. And then from there, get creative and curious. What ways could I go from here to here? Stacy and David talked about the tightness or the free-flowing self. How do I get from here to here? People thought it was like drinking. They're like, no, I'll just drink it away. I'll just drink. And then all of a sudden the drinks don't work. And they're like, now I can't sleep. Now I'm diabetic. Now I have heart problems. Now I'm having AFib, whatever. It's no longer working. The shit pile doesn't work when you try to medicate and soothe it with other things. So there's another possibility. And from there, just wake up, awareness, breathing, meditation, paying attention. And like you said, what story is being told here? Yeah. What story is making me feel like I can't breathe, that I can't move, that there's no other possibility? What's the story here?
And I think we should do it.
It's awareness, really. When you shine the light on stuff, big shit happens.
So I think we should do another live on meditation, because you and I are big fans of meditation, and
we're serious about it.
And I will tell you from experience that for me, it's like not going to the gym or not drinking water. If I miss more than 2 days now, or it's been about 2.5 years, I will definitely see that the stories come rapid fire, because I'm starting to connect with my false self more, and I'm not dropping into that presence. So we should do one on that. And then what I did want to share is, let's put in the comments any programs you're running right now, your coaching website, anything. So tap that in there. And then I think in terms of infinite possibilities, this is why I've created Heart of the Matter. And I'll put that into here now too, is like, we're in this place where everyone's freaking out about the schools, what we're doing with schools. So I want to bring a completely different perspective of infinite possibilities, a million possibilities for how we can educate our children in the future and today and tomorrow. So that's literally what's coming through me. And I know you have your amazing coaching programs, and we're really, I think at the end of the day, we're really just here to serve, because we feel like, and in fact, our teachers have told us, you can't help everyone, but we're here to serve anyone who's ready to benefit from the things that we've already learned. And we're not like, so high and mighty and, we're just so much better than everyone. We've just been through the muckety muck, and we're constantly trying to get from this here to here, like all the time, and we box her back and forth because every third day one of us is in over here and the next day we're over here, and sometimes it takes an hour, sometimes it takes a day, but like we're constantly working on that. So we just want to share everything we've learned with people and accelerate your growth and be able to be that freest version of yourself, to connect with your true nature, be free, and then you can serve the planet. And for our kids, I mean, it's just so many beautiful things, so many beautiful things. So we'll keep coming on lives, and we'll keep sharing this. And one day I think there will be a podcast. There's going to be a Stacy D.
Shift happens. Hashtag.
Shift happens.
I think that's a cute name. But yeah, that, like you said, if you are struggling right now because your kids, you don't know if your kids are going to go to school or they're going to do e-school or whatever the situation is, or with your job, how are you going to do it if you do work full time as a parent, or just the whole concept of what's happening with COVID. Do you want your decisions from your constricted self, or do you want to birth your decisions and your future and your life, your well-being, based out of infinite possibility that is directly correlated with your well-being and the greater good for all? And there is a distinct difference of where these things are birthed from. So part of our work in coaching and the programs we offer are for birthing everything from essence.
Yes.
And that is my work. That's why I'm here on this earth. It's my only job.
So beautiful. And I feel like this moment with COVID allows us to say, it feels like the worst moment, but where there is dark, there's so much light. There's so much light. The dark and the light are right next to each other. So we know there's a lot of dark times right now, and we want to shine as much light as possible on the dark so that it starts to spread across the globe. And we want to do our small part of just sharing the message and sharing with people that this is totally possible. There's nothing special about Stacy or me. Anyone can do this. Anyone can find this path. It's just a matter of doing the work, finding the teachers, and just really believing in yourself.
That's it. Thank you.
On that note, thanks, Stacy. We'll see you guys again sometime soon.
Bye.
Have a great day. Bye.